person could come on in and find a seat, we'll get going. There's plenty of seats up front. Come on up, guys. Yes, ma'am. All right, we're just getting the last of the folks here in the room, and then we'll get going. Oh, we'll get the last of the folks in the room, and then we'll get going. They just got here. They're coming in. They're very nervous. There they are. Close to it. All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Cassie Wondersea. I'm a public information officer with Rocky Mountain Complex Incident Management Team 1. Getting told, is that better? Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Cassie Wondersea, Public Information Officer with Rocky Mountain Complex Incident Management Team 1. I just want to thank you all for coming here tonight in person and everyone that's joined us online for our community meeting here on the Wapiti fire here in Lowman at the Volunteer Fire Department. So it's great to see you all again. I know we've had a chance to meet a lot of the folks here in the room as we've been out and about since the team got here. So it's great to see you all, even under the circumstances with the fire we have. So we've got a good lineup of folks here, and we'll get going first with our operational briefing from Lance Martin. Then you'll hear from Chief Rico. He's got an update for you. And we have a special presentation for the chief tonight. Then from the Boise National Forest, we've got Tracy Zimmerman as our agency rep. Then we'll hear from our incident commanders, Bill Honnenberg and Justin Conrad. Sorry, this feels very odd. And then we will do a short question and answer for about 15 minutes before we move to our stand-up questions outside so we can get into some more specifics for you guys there. So go ahead and hand it over to Lance. Yep, I'll do that. Lance, hold it real close.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lance Martin. I am the operations section. Like an ice cream cone? How about this? Is that better? I'll start all over again. So my name is Lance Martin. I'm our operations section chief trainee for the Wapiti fire, and I just want to say good evening. One thing that has changed with the weather and the smoke, our inversion has lifted. So the one good thing that's been able to happen is we've been able to get our division supervisors, our branches, and operations folks up in there to take a good look at where fire growth and assess fire behavior. So we have been seeing some growth up in this area. Nothing significant. It's kind of hitting some old burn scars up in here, but we're definitely keeping an eye on that. As we move over towards the 21 corridor, we've been doing a lot of structure protection. You guys got me now? All right. So a lot of effort's been in here. Our resources, I think in total we have 375 folks between Bulltrout Lake and down here in the Tin Axe and Sourdough and Two Ravens area. So a big effort in here with our structure group. I'm sure a lot of you folks have been seeing the firefighters in and out, and I appreciate your patience with them. And all the structure protection around Tin Axe, Two Ravens, Sourdough. We were able to get a hand line on the north side of Sourdough yesterday, and they're just continuing to improve their lines. And then they're also just testing all their hose lays, their sprinkler systems, and they'll continue those efforts. As we move up towards the Warm Springs landing strip, Like I mentioned about the weather change with the inversion lifting, we have been over the last couple of days. We've been utilizing Type 1 helicopters to do some bucket work in Chapman Creek. We didn't get an IR infrared flight last night due to probably some mechanical issues with the planes, but from Highway 21, hiking in about 2 miles, there is a little bit of fire that came down into Chapman Creek. So per the reports from the ground, it's pretty much just hung up in Chapman Creek, and they're just working a few buckets in there to check things up as needed. So they're going to just continue over the next couple days monitoring that fire spread and potentially using bucket work if needed. As we move over onto the north side of the highway towards the landing strip, we do have a lot of resources in there just assessing fire behavior, and they are using a little bit of aviation up here up on 8 Mile Ridge. So they will continue those efforts, and once again with that inversion lifting, that's helping us out a lot, being able to use like bucket work if needed. So we have a lot of hotshot crews, a lot of resources in here. They've been taking a look at this Kasner Creek area, options coming off the 21 highway, coming up to the fire. Just you guys live in some beautiful country, but we're limited on options or where we can effectively fight this fire with our folks on the ground. So in the event that the fire wants to keep coming down into Kasner Creek and moving back down to the south, our values are right here, right? So we are going to have to look at potentially where we have it checked up at the Warm Springs airstrip. If the fire keeps progressing down the Kasner Creek Ridge and off of 8 Mile, we'll just have to keep progressing down drainage with some fires. So more to come on that, but like right now we're looking pretty good, and when we have to start that, we'll make sure we convey that too as well. As we move up to the northwest side of the fire up by Trout Mountain, things are looking really good from their burnouts from a couple days ago. They just continue to patrol and secure where needed. We just got it tied out into this old burn scar, which is the county line 1992 burn scars. There is a version of a probability that with fire behavior and available fuels that it could get around our hand line, but it's going to be slow progress for that fire to move through that burn scar just based on the severity from it from 1992. As we move up the 21 towards the Boy Scout camp, crews just continue to monitor any of the fire behavior on the east side of 21 and just assess it. And if it wants to move, we have plans in place to do some strategic firing in there to just moderate fire behavior. So as we move up to Boy Scout, crews continue to just assess their hose lays, make sure everything's working in the event that fire wants to move out towards Boy Scout camp. And they constantly just keep improving their indirect lines that they put around the Boy Scout camp as well. As we move in further to the south, on the east side over there, the whole 21 corridor with all the structures, Crooked Creek, Cow Camp, we just continue to patrol and secure where needed in there. Things are starting to look pretty good. As we move into closer to Stanley and Lower Stanley, that spot we had a couple days ago up on Nip and Tuck, looking really good. We're thinking within the next 24 hours, we're probably just going to put that in patrol status, and we'll keep some folks up there to keep an eye on it. But for the most part, we're looking pretty good. Yeah. And as we move into Iron Creek, from the burnouts from about a week ago, we're looking really good in there. We have a lot of resources still in there, just patrolling and securing and keeping it tied into some natural features in here up in the wilderness. So looking good. As we move further to the south towards the Redfish Hatchery, Redfish Complex area, we have from Iron Creek working to the south towards just past south of Redfish Lake. We still have a lot of resources in there working on indirect lines to, and they're just a lot of those resources are just improving those lines, especially from Iron Creek down to Redfish Lodge. And then we got some heavy equipment working from Redfish Lodge on the 210 road, working south. We have a lot of our structure groups over on this side, the East Structure Group. They continue to assess structures and do structure assessments. Casino Creek all the way back to Lower Stanley, Iron Creek and all the way down through the Redfish complex here, the hatchery. So that's your operational update. Appreciate it. And I'll just leave you with this. I know you guys have have a version of inconvenience with this fire, but one thing that I want to convey you from the firefighters to you, we really appreciate your patience with us and working with us as we work through this fire. So thank you.
Chief Rico? He's not excited about having a microphone.
You hold the mic.
All right, I'll hold the mic. Are you girls ready? Do you guys want to say something or get me to introduce you? Okay, so I've made two very special new friends while we've been out here, and I would like to introduce Ava and Isla and Orwin to you, and they did a very special thing for their community 2 days ago. I'm losing track of days. Yeah, about to. They gave away lemonade to firefighters and their community members, and during that process raised money to donate here to the volunteer fire department. And they were working the last 2 days to count all that money, I believe. Do you know how much it is?
We have made $1,162.32.
That is amazing. So do you guys want to present that money to the chief?
Thank you. Any of you guys that look at the Facebook page, LVFD, Ava's got a cute Smokey the Bear poster that is on that page. So take a look at that. Who wants this?
This is why Americans.
Jay, where are you at? Okay. We'll keep an eye on it. Give it to the treasurer. So, thank you, girls. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let's go sit down. Okay, so one of the things I've been involved in intimately since I got back from Alaska, unfortunately, is evacuation zones. We were worried about the Nellie fire. Wapiti fire was off the radar. Things have come and gone. Sheriff Turner and I are getting to be great buddies with the teams. So today, if you didn't see it, Crouch and Garden Valley actually reduced their readiness levels today. So for the, I think Tyga's here. I don't know if he's going to speak, but he can answer questions about the Middle Fork complex. 2 weeks ago, I was going to meetings in Garden Valley, and that all changed. So the other thing that's going to change here, most of you know that from 10 Mile up the highway is in level 3. It's evacuated. We've had a couple of tours in there. We've gone into Grand Jean, Wapiti Creek, escorted, Hanging Valley. People have been able to remove some of their belongings and stuff. So that's going to remain in level 3. We have level 1 set, right? Ready in 10X, 2 Ravens. Two, whatever. From 10 Mile Bridge up the highway, you can't go there, right? So the cross 10 Mile, 10X, 2 Ravens, and 7 Peaks, they're in a ready status, right? Ready, set status. Set status, and the sourdough's in a ready status. Well, tomorrow at noon, we are going to increase that to from the milepost 82, a roughly 5-mile creek on up, we're going to go to set. Okay, so we're not going to increase any other statuses. We aren't going to increase 10 Acts 2 Ravens area. And we're not going to set a level 1 down from here 80 on up. So, and so these are pre-programmed or pre-thought out locations on a map, kind of a line in the sand kind of thing. And the fire's progressed. You heard him talk about getting into head of Kasner Creek and over into Chapman. So that's about halfway between our two decision points. And that's the reason we're making that decision. But that's totally done with the sheriff, the incident team, and myself. So it's not some arbitrary decision we make. So that being said, the work you see going on the last 2 weeks, if you haven't had a chance to go up to 10 Acts, there's more pumpkins, hoses, sprinklers, I think, than we had during the Pioneer Fire, maybe even. And the reason that is so that that community, that subdivision, will withstand an assault by fire. We know that in likelihood, the fire is going to beat the snow. Maybe it won't, maybe it will, we don't know, but we're hedging our bet. A lot of work's gone around the sourdough. In fact, kind of got a little more aggressive in the last 24 hours with trimming trees, getting ladder fuels removed, pine needles. People have insurance companies that are getting excited. They're up there sweeping pine needles off people's roofs. These are all maintenance things that we should be doing ourselves. We shouldn't be waiting until we have fire knocking on our door and taking that action. We're going to put thousands of man hours into trying to fireproof this community, because we have fire might never get here. It might be here in 2 weeks. We might have a rain event, snow on the ground, and dodge the bullet. But as we learned during the Pioneer Fire, you can't, once you get to that level of readiness, you can't stop. So I'm going to introduce Tracy. Everybody knows her from being the ranger here. She's going to talk about a thing called the CMAT team, the community mitigation team. They're going to Firewise on steroids. They're going to, she'll talk about the purpose of the team and how they're going to work, but they're going to help homeowners door to door figure out what they can do to improve their property. It then becomes incumbent on you to take that action. So, Tracy?
Thank you, Paul. And I'm glad you got to go after these guys, because that's a tough act to follow. So as Paul said, I'm Tracy Zimmerman. I'm the agency administrator rep for the Boise National Forest on the Wapiti fire. Lots of things happening this year. I know a lot of you, I see a lot of familiar faces. You've been here a long time, and I want to know how many of you have ever seen in September 5,291 lightning strikes in one storm. That's what the Boise forecast area had last night. Yeah, and I'm thinking that's more like a early August, late July type of storm, and it's a big one for that. So we do have some initial attack going on the forest and on the Sawtooth, bunch down in BLM land. So there's a lot more fire on the ground right now than just the Wapiti fire. But that being said, we still have a really solid focus on Lowman and on Stanley and where our values at risk are here in this part of Idaho. And what you guys can do, we talk a lot about the ready, set, go. And it was interesting when I was working in Oregon, and we had a Spanish interpreter, and she said it's weird. We don't have language for the word set. So she and I talked for a long time about what does that actually mean. We hear it from a kid, When you're running, you're gonna you're racing, ready, set, go, right? Ready. We talked about this the other day. Up again. Ready is something you guys should always be when you live out here in the wildlands, in this part of the world where fire. It's not just fire. There's a lot of things that could happen, but ready is something you should always be. You should always have a plan. You should always know what things you're going to take with you in the event you have to evacuate. You should always be doing the things Chief was talking about around your homes, right? Hardening those that have burned down structures. When they had defensible space, you would think they'd be okay. But they didn't have screening in their attic fence. They didn't have things cleaned out from underneath their deck. They had one of their very favorite shrubs that was a ladder fuel right up underneath their eaves. So it's the little things, and that's what the CMAT team will help you. But secondly, what they'll help you with is they know where all the federal money goes. And I learned today that Idaho gets more money for mitigation, fuels mitigation grants than any other state in the nation. And part of it is just because Idaho's split between Region 1 and Region 4. And so they just put in for they put in for money in both regions and end up getting a lot. So more than any other, it's there. It is available for you guys. And the CMAT team will help you put in for those grants so that you can help pay to get your work professionally done around your house. So I'm really excited to have them here. Paul's graciously allowed them to, they'll be setting up here in the fire station. So we'll set up a meet and greet type of thing at some point in time and let you guys come and talk with them about whatever interests you on how to mitigate those fuels around your home, how to harden your structure to make sure that in the event, which you mean, look at the fire history here. In the very likely event that fire threatens your home at some point in time while you live in Lowman, Idaho, there'll be a lot of information there for you. So I'm looking forward to having them come in tomorrow. I know there was something else I was going to talk about, but I don't remember. So hopefully you guys will ask me, and that'll prompt the memory. So let's go with Bill.
Hi, folks, and thanks for coming this evening. A little bit of deja vu. I was in this very room in 2007. I was not as gray and didn't need glasses. I was here as an incident commander when we had the Trappers Ridge fire just up over the hill. And so I've also miles of perimeter on this big fire. So when we talk about building line around a fire, we're not going to do that. We currently have about 6 miles of line built where we have containment, and that's not much. We're using some other tactics, more specific, focused on protection of values at risk as opposed to building line in difficult and dangerous places. We have learned the hard way in this environment that it's difficult, expensive, large commitment of resources, and with that comes a lot of risk. So this is some lessons we've learned, more specifically protect those resources that are of most value, and that's why we're doing that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is as you drive towards Lowman, you're going to right away see a big group of buildings and trailers and things that we've set up. It's not an incident command post. Our actual incident command post is in Stanley, but that's a forward operating base. We call it very much like an incident command post, with a lot of primary support coming from the team component over in Stanley. And so that location is where we dispatch folks for this part of the fire, what I'm going to call branch 4, the west side of the fire. And you may see, like, for instance, a weed wash station down the road, and you're wondering, what's everybody doing? What that is about, well, the weed wash station is about keeping noxious weeds off your lands, off moving them around from one place to the other. Not very busy very often, but when it's busy, when people are coming and going, that's an important step. And so all those other people over there are providing support to the folks doing some firefighting on the ground. So let me tell you about the folks doing firefighting on the ground. In Division Whiskey and our structure protection group, working all around your homes and places, We have a total of 256 people, boots on the ground, not those folks over there like myself who provide support. And so that group of 256 is made up of 2 interagency hotshot crews, 6 engines, number of pieces of equipment. In addition, we have a number of aircraft that we can and will deploy, started to deploy some today. We have what we call UAS, unmanned aerial systems. You probably call them drones. We have them available and are using them. Good tool to bring us some intelligence from the air, and that's working really well. So I just want to tell you that those interagency hotshot crews, the 2 that we have, those folks are the special forces of wildland firefighting. They can do and will engage with fire up close and personal, and they do it very well. They did that around the summer home group and saved a lot of. That was about a week and a half ago, or almost 2 weeks ago now. So in Division Mike, further up, not close to you, but there's an additional 114 people working there. Altogether, on the west side of the fire, we got just under 400 people working. Again, people out doing the hard work, etc. So I thought that might be of interest to you. So that's kind of the first go-to for what we're doing here, and there's a couple others. The east side of this fire around Stanley, we have a large component of structure protection forces. They can and will be available if fire moves towards Lowman. So that's a really good backup should we need it. And third, and Chief didn't talk about this, I don't think, but there's a whole mutual aid component that he has already got somewhat organized, thought through, coordinating with the team should that be needed, mutual aid from other fire departments to come in if this fire gets really aggressive. So between him and the sheriff, sheriff's been really involved helping us manage evacuations, and probably going to embarrass the chief a little bit right now. I'm going to tell you that this level of coordination with the incident management team to take care of you're better than I've ever seen, and I've seen quite a lot of it. So I think, yeah. I've started to consider him a friend. I hope he still is. All right, that's all I really have here. Enjoy your community. I grew up in small towns, lived in small towns most of my life, so I respect what you've got and appreciate it. So thank you. Justin Conrad is here. He's the deputy incident commander. Came over from Stanley. I'm actually heading home Thursday. I've got commitment at home this weekend, but Justin will be here to help guide some of the transition because we are more or less required to leave after a couple of weeks. There'll be another team coming in, and so he'll be here for a couple of days.
Good evening, everyone. Justin Conrad, one of the deputy ICs for Rocky Mountain Area, Team 1. First, yeah, I've been over on the Stanley side for about 11 days. You can all, yeah, I see some head shaking. Y'all can apologize. Sorry. But I'm here to make sure that continuity of operations continues. With Bill leaving to go take some well-earned time off and the new team coming in this weekend, making sure that everything's communicated to them as we move forward. The importance of being here and taking care of these communities. So, yeah, new team. There's gonna be some getting to know each other all from the other side of the fire is how great the community interaction's been over here, and I'm looking forward to stepping in behind Bill and trying to fill his boots. So thank you all, and yeah, we'll pass it back. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Justin. So we are going to move into 15 minutes of questions and answers. But before we get going on that, I do just want to remind everybody that we will have our stand-ups outside around maps. We've got information for you guys out there like we did for our last community meeting here in town. And just a couple other things, reminders of questions that we really can answer, and the best way that we can do that as the team that's here. We can really only speak to the activity on the fire for the time this team was here and under the management of it. We can't speak to decisions made before. We can't predict the future for what's going to happen after we leave, but we really are here to answer the questions that you guys have from the time that we've been here. I know this is such a wonderful community, and you guys all respect and have kindness for each other. So we just want to carry that forward throughout this question and answers as well. We're going to try to keep our questions concise. I know we only have 15 minutes, so if you can ask one question at a time, we'll pass the mic around the room and make sure everybody has a chance to ask their question. We are also going to try to take some questions coming in from our Facebook live stream, and we've got some other folks, some other public information officers here in the room that'll be feeding those into the room and reading them out so we can get those answered for you. And we just appreciate all of you guys being here and your understanding as we try to answer all of your questions. I know there might be a few, but we'll work to get those all answered while we're here with you tonight or standing outside or in the days to come. We'll follow up with you guys. So we can get started. If anybody has a question, Megan right here has a microphone. And she'll hang on to it for you.
Thanks for being here. Is it Wapiti or Wapiti? This is driving me crazy. I hear it on the news. I hear it everywhere, and I need to know.
Okay, so, and Wapiti has a very different meaning, which means to look for. So I guess you could Wapiti, since it's during elk season right now. But that's what we have been told by our tribal relations folks and some of the tribal members. So Wapiti it is. When I first got here as ranger and they kept talking about this big project because we had that as a project area for a long time, and they kept calling it the Wapiti project, and I had it spelled phonetically, like Wapeedi. And then I saw a folder, and I'm like, Wapiti? So I would say Wapiti elk is what I would say every time we talked about it. So that's what it is. And then the other easy way to remember it, this came from one of the PIOs. The ops chief could never get it right. I don't know if it was you, Lance, but he kept saying, he said, how do you say it? She goes, bippity, boppity, whippity, whoppity. So we'll all remember it from that. All right, that was an easy question. Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for the incredible engagement with our community and the excellent information that's going out on a daily, in addition to the formidable work that each of you are doing. Just thank you from all of us. I wanted to express my excitement about the CMAT tomorrow and how will the interaction with community members be structured and how long will that take place and how is that information and the engagement going to be prioritized and how do we get involved in that? Thank you.
Also a great question. So when the CMAT team comes in and we have our what we call an in-briefing and talk to them about our objectives, Paul will be involved in that as well as, I believe, I'm going to forget his name, Jordan, thank you. Jordan Jones, the Boise County Forester, as well as some Idaho Department of Lands folks will be involved. We'll put out a plan, and then there will be a time where you can come and talk to them. The PIOs can help us get that information out as well. Come and talk to them. We'll have an informal meeting, and then we can set some priorities that way and get that information out to you. Since we haven't met with them formally, do you know more than what I'm saying, Bill? Okay. Since we haven't met with them formally yet, I don't know the plan, but they'll stay. The original team will stay 14 days, kind of like we do. But if they need more, we can take it longer than that.
I'm winging it a little bit here, but I do want to tell you kind of the motivation for mitigation teams. So in wildland fire, for 100 or more years, we've been chasing fires to protect communities, where in some cases, communities aren't very defendable. And so my career in fire, I've managed as an incident commander about 50 fires, lost a lot of homes, and that's bad, and it's painful. So I've started to be engaged with mitigation groups in Colorado, and this group is some of them. So mitigation is kind of the third component of wildland fire. Suppression, protection, fuels, Mitigation. We tend to do threes in wildland fire. We like fire triangle kind of stuff. And because wildland fire people can only remember three things at once, okay? That's how we roll. So mitigation in my life, in my brain, is the third component to actually harden and make structures where the likelihood of them burning is a whole lot less. And that's what the goal of this team is. How exactly they're going to proceed is a little unclear to me, but I believe it's kind of how we do. They're going to prioritize those with the most risk, which probably with the fire above 10X and Two Ravens, that may be their first priority. That's probably going to be a conversation with this guy right here, followed probably by then sourdough up to the church, etc. That's what I think. We can affect and influence that, and the specific engagement with some of you may go kind of in that order, but we'll be getting out information. I don't know if we'll do it on Facebook, but we'll keep you involved and informed. It's pretty new, although it's been around in the Forest Service for about 10 years. It's pretty new to us.
21 from milepost 82 to 85 in level 2. So if we could just get a confirmation on that.
At noon tomorrow. All right, Jim, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, I was just, you're talking about our structures and what have you. I understand that. But how about all of our timber that is burning up? You don't talk about that at all. It's just about structures. Look at all the destruction of all of our timber.
Tracy?
So that's a great question, and we do care about timber. In fact, when we look at our values at risk, our timber sales in private timber lands are on there as values at risk that we want to protect. That's the direction given to the teams. Now, sometimes it's not feasible, and if there's a priority of life versus property, they're going to go with life first, right? We're going to make sure we're not putting our firefighters in somewhere where we can't safely evacuate them out and such. But timber sales are definitely, and private timber are definitely values at risk that we seek to protect.
Got one coming from the back, and we've got one up here.
Yeah, I had a quick question, and it might be more for Tracy, but since we're trying to focus on mitigation efforts and you're bringing in the CMAC team, what's the possibility of getting the road graded into where we're all hauling our pine needles and stuff? I had the pleasure of driving that road on Thursday and got bounced out of my truck. So road grader running up and down that once or twice would be great if we could get it.
I agree. I think I chipped a tooth and maybe needed to go to the chiropractor after driving in there the other day. But we will bring that forward for sure. We also brought in, I forgot to mention this, so thanks for triggering this. Those large piles, we brought in some tub grinders, really large tub grinders, grinding those piles, and you start hauling that down that road. And to do that with those big trucks too, I think that would maybe prompt getting some work done on that road as well. It's a good question.
Okay, we've got one right up front here, Megan.
Hi, I just wanted to first of all say thank you for all that you're doing. I'm grateful because of this community. Sometimes people think Lowman is just a building or, something, and we're a community. And I sound like a broken record, but we have a one-room schoolhouse that is not a museum. We do not have medical facilities. And a lot of people come here to enjoy the hot springs and everything. But I guess my point is the people who live here, it's not for the faint of heart. And so it's just nice to be recognized as as a whole community, it starts from like mile 70 to 85, and then I don't know if, you know, Grand Jean is considered part of Lowman. But anyway, that's the main thing. And then hardening, that term actually is about the mitigation. So as I'm getting rid of the brush, and I don't know if there's anything else that's used to just define that term of hardening. And then just the last part is as it relates to, I'm trying to get rid of my brush as much off to the side. But I did bring some to the dump itself, but I think that's full. I think that's full. So if you could address that too. Thank you.
So I'll try to answer all this. And Carol, thanks for what you say. And we feel that too. We know this is a really tight community here, and I really appreciate and value what this team has done to ensure that you guys knew that you, as well as Stanley, you all are equally important to us, and being able to communicate to you, get the information you need. But so first question, hardening the structure, there's a lot of different things you can do, and that's what they'll get more into. It's not just about defensible space. It's also about the little things you can do to make sure your soffits are covered, your wood piles are not up under your deck or on your deck, or you don't have ladder fuels up to your house, that you have screened in vents. So, you know, an ember shower, ember wash is pretty frightening, and where it can, you know, swirl embers up underneath your soffits or in corners on your roof. If you have, you know, any weak spots that embers can get into. Houses often burn a long time after the fire department leaves because they think it's secure. So that's what hardening is about. There's a lot of little things. And secondly, we're going to chip that pile that's at the transfer station as well. And down the road, about 2 more miles, the road that they were talking about, you know, really bumpy road. You guys just have to do me a favor, and if they do blade it, don't drive like it's a racetrack down that road. So respect the speed. But about 2 miles down that road at the old gravel pit, you can dump, as long as it's yard debris. We don't want garbage there, but yard debris. Anything else to add to that? Okay.
If in fact this neighborhood gets evacuated, is there a plan to set up an evacuation shelter somewhere?
Yeah, Chief?
So right now, the evacuation would be over Highway 21 or Banks Lowman Road. Evacuation shelters are the LDS Church or the Calvary Chapel in Garden Valley, and at the Ray Robinson Community Center or the Senior Center in Idaho City. Those are not established. There is no evacuation in place, but the Red Cross is on standby to leave Boise with their trailer that's got cots and sleeping bags and MREs. Yay, MREs. And lots of water, stuff like that to shelter. Those are the shelter locations. And they're already pre-planned. That's part of the pre-plan.
Oh, we've got one more question online.
So the online question was, if I understand correctly, you plan on pulling the fire down Kasner Creek?
There we go. So our plans are right now, if we can keep the fire checked up at Warm Springs Airstrip, we will. But we do have fire established at the head of Kasner Creek and it's up on 8 miles. So what we don't want to have happen is if this comes down in the Kasner Creek proper, we don't want it to basically outflank us and run all the way back up towards the Worms Hot Springs. So when the conditions are right and based on fire spread, we will just slowly keep things squared off from Warm Springs landing strip as we come down, just so we can prevent this slope reversal from running all the way back up to Warm Springs. So it's a day-by-day conversation, looking at fire spread and where we're going. So in the event we may have to, but we're going to do it in a manner that hopefully we don't blow out this whole drainage up here along the 21 corridor. So.
All right, I think we've got time for one more question here in the room.
Quick question. I'm not sure how to phrase this, but we live full time, but we also live by cabins that are only here part time, that do not keep their landscape clean. They have fallen debris. Is there any way of protecting us from that? Does that make sense? Chief, do you want to answer about that one, Chief?
Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's people spraying their weeds or raking their pine needles or anything else. Absentee landowners are a problem. And we have people that want to come 4th of July and hunting season. And that's it. And that's the reason why they keep their property here. So I believe the CMAT has a component that will try to reach every landowner. Okay. I've been working pretty closely with the assessor's office on mapping, and of course that comes with who the landowner is. There's only about 80 properties in all of Lowman where you guys claim your homeowner's exemption. So there's only about 80 people who live here full time that really live here. That means there's about 300, give or take, that they may live in Boise, Nampa, Meridian. They might live in Florida. They might live who knows where. And so I think one of the things I want to talk to the CMAT team is about producing a mailer that can go out maybe after after their 2 weeks that's here, is producing a mailer that can go out to those absentee property owners. And a lot of those are lots where maybe their families got them and the kids maybe have never even been here. It's family trusts and things like that. So it is an issue. Absentee landowners are a huge issue. Roughly. Kevin, how many pieces of flyers did we send out for the fire department? So there's like 700 parcels of land. There's like 300 and 400 land owners, and then there's only 80 that actually claim homeowners exemption here. And then you have the Forest Service compound, which isn't even on the tax rolls. It's, you have the ITD housing, you have things like that aren't even counted in the parcels of land. So.
Well, thank you again for all of your great questions. Like I mentioned before, we will have all of our folks available standing outside. We've got maps, we've got great information on some of the steps you can take to harden your home, improve your properties. So we'll head outside for that. Just want to thank you all again so much for coming out here tonight, and everyone for joining us online on all sides of the fire, and folks that might not be here, and these wonderful young folks up here in the front row for all of the service to your community. Thank you so much for everything you do.